What if I were to tell you that everything that you wanted to achieve, everything that you wanted to become, your wildest dreams, was actually 100% only a matter of time if you applied the law of resonance, which states that to become, you must first be. And that's what we're going to be exploring today. First, let's talk about time. But what actually is time? Time is only the present. What is the past? It's only a dream that you have about the present that happened to you. What is the future? Well, it's just a vision of the present that you're experiencing right now. But time in the end is always only but the present. So once we understand that concept, that time is only but the present, now the law of resonance starts to make sense. To become, you must first be. And to be, you must do now. It's all in the present. If you don't act like the future self you envision now, you will never become that version of yourself. It's all about how you deal with the present. What are the actions, what are the habits that you do now? So picture who you strive to become, a vision that you're super excited about of yourself, of how you picture yourself. Now we understand that you, from this present to that vision that you have of another present, it's a big spectrum in terms of maybe you're much more muscular, maybe you're much richer, maybe you found love, X, Y, Z. But for it to be a spectrum, there's a start to arrive at the end of that spectrum, right? And that's where the law of resonance comes into play. Secrets comes down to actually walking the top, starting at level 1 of that spectrum, but starting walking in the direction of who you want to become. And that's how you start being who you want to become now. To sprint, you must first jog, and to jog, you must first walk. So it's all about taking steps. 1 step, 2 steps, 1 victory, 2 victories in the right alignment. So you start scaling up that spectrum of who you want to become. And that's how you start being now in the present. Let's actually dive into my own personal experience, which is a real life experience that I can really share. And so you understand a bit more practically how to apply that law and just change your life, one day at a time. So picture myself 7 years ago. I was 17, 18. I did not have money. I did not have contacts. All I had was a belief that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and to create companies or a company that would allow me to be my own boss and just do my own thing, right? Which is, a dream that many people share, but that not so many achieve. But I'm not different. I'm not more special than anyone. So how was I able to actually achieve that? Let's dive right in. So now I knew who I wanted to become. So my identity shifted. I now was an entrepreneur. So at the beginning of the spectrum, right? Level 1. So what does an entrepreneur need? First, he needs a company. What kind of company can I start with the means that I currently have? Brainstorming, a clothing brand. What does a clothing brand need? Clothes. So I need to find a supplier, have internet, boom, tasks. Every day working towards the goal of finding a supplier, finding the right types of clothes, simples, boom, finding a logo, okay, creating a website, okay, how do I do that? Okay, Google, using Shopify templates, you can easily do one, you can learn it, just takes a few hours, right? So it's just about every day taking the steps in the right direction, being who you want to become. On level 1, then you become level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you slowly but surely you progress towards that goal because you starting being who you wanted to become, but just at the level 1, at the beginning of the spectrum. But I am the same person I was back then, just with much more perspective, awareness, knowledge, means. But my identity has not shifted. I'm still someone who wants to create and innovate. That doesn't change. Because once I became aligned with who I wanted to become, I started being that person. So after that clothing brand, didn't make much money, but I was leveling up. So after a year of that clothing brand, it brought me to a music label because I had some more knowledge, contacts, and a bit more means. And naturally, it brought me to creating that new company. Then that company was a bit more successful than the clothing brand. And then it brought me to Amazon, selling products online, which brought me a bit closer to who I really wanted to become at the top of the spectrum. And then, what did this bring me to? My first actually successful company, a 7-figure business in marketing, allowing me to be my own boss, allowing me to have a salary, and to actually the vision like 5 years prior when starting a clothing brand. Well, I actually achieved it with not being more special, more intelligent than no one else, just because I accepted that that's who I wanted to become, and by accepting that, I became that. My identity became that, and every day, slowly but surely, I was walking in that direction. So it was only a matter of time. And that's part one. Now part two. Once I've achieved who I wanted to become at the highest kind of spectrum from my previous vision, now I realized that I was working too much. I was going out a lot. And I just wanted to become the healthiest person I could, to explore longevity. So that's who I wanted to become. So I started being that. I stopped going out. I stopped eating processed foods, drinking alcohol, smoking weed, slowly but surely, one step at a time. And I started learning more and more about health, wellness. Started measuring my sleep with a sleep tracker, making correlations, learning. I realized that I was working so much and I was in an environment that was not right for who I wanted to become. So I left the company, which was my initial dream of who I wanted to become. But it continuously changes, and the law of resonance is absolute. It's just a matter of starting at level 1. So I restarted at level 1 in a new direction. And now we're a year past, and I've started 2 new projects. I've never been healthier in my entire life. My knowledge on longevity is 1,000x what it was before. I know so much more now. I feel so much better. And now I keep on elevating in that spectrum because I'm only getting started. But I've completely switched my life once again. To conclude, the message of this video is that not being dream thinker in the dream world or foo-foo, just practically, factually, everything that you want to do, that you want to achieve, who you want to become, it's absolutely only a matter of time if you apply the law of resonance, if you start being now at level 1, the beginning of the spectrum, who you want to become. It starts now, not tomorrow, not yesterday. It's now. It's never too late, it's never too early. It's just now, because time is only but the present. So if you start now, think about the person that you want to become. What would they do on a daily basis? And apply that level 1. So for example, if you want to be super muscular, that person would do 300 push-ups a day. Start with 1 push-up a day, now. Then 2, then 3, then 4. Same goes with a company. Start now with any projects. Who cares about money? Money is like spectrum at the end of the spectrum. But to get to the money, you first need to understand how it works, how economy works, how the supply and demand works. But to learn, you need to start at level 1. You need to start at the beginning of the spectrum. So if you start now and you keep walking the talk in that direction, it's absolutely only a matter of time. Whether it's a year, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, it is absolute that it's only a matter of time if you don't give up, if you keep walking the talk, and if you keep embracing who you want to become. So you start being on a daily basis. And that is how you get it done.